In the quiet suburbs of a mid-sized American town in Ohio, where the summers stretched long and humid and the winters brought biting winds off Lake Erie, lived a man named Henry Whitaker. At 62 years old, Henry had spent most of his life as a high school history teacher, shaping young minds with tales of courage and resilience from America's past. But after his wife Margaret passed away from a sudden heart attack 3 years earlier, the big house on Maple Street felt more like a museum of memories than a home. The laughter of their 2 grown children, now living across the country, echoed only in old photographs. Henry needed something more than retirement routines and morning coffee on the porch. He needed purpose. One crisp autumn morning, while flipping through the local newspaper at his kitchen table, Henry's eyes fell on an advertisement. Mercy. General Hospital seeks compassionate volunteers. Make a difference in patients' lives. The words tugged at something deep inside him. Margaret had spent her final days in that very hospital, surrounded by kind but busy staff. He remembered how a simple volunteer bringing fresh flowers and a gentle smile had brightened her room. Maybe it's time I gave back, Henry whispered to himself, his voice thick with unresolved grief. Henry went through the volunteer orientation at Mercy General the following week. The hospital buzzed with controlled chaos, beeping monitors, hurried footsteps of nurses in colorful scrubs, and the faint scent of antiseptic mixed with cafeteria coffee. The coordinator, a warm woman named Linda, assigned him to the long-term care wing and the children's floor. You'll be delivering meals, reading to patients, and most importantly, just being present, she explained. Henry nodded, feeling a mix of nervousness and quiet excitement as he pinned on his volunteer badge. His first few shifts were a whirlwind of small acts. He wheeled library carts down long corridors, helped elderly patients open pudding cups, and sat listening to war stories from a Korean War veteran named Mr. Thompson. But it was on the pediatric oncology floor where Henry's life truly began to change. The bright murals of superheroes and smiling animals on the walls couldn't hide the fear in the children's eyes or the exhaustion on their parents' faces. One Tuesday afternoon, Henry entered room 312 and met young Emily Carter, a bright-eyed 10-year-old battling leukemia. Her curly brown hair had fallen out from chemotherapy, but her spirit remained unbroken. "Hi, Mr. Henry. Are you the story man?" she asked with a weak but genuine smile. Her mother, Sarah, a single mom working 2 jobs, looked up from her laptop with grateful eyes. Henry pulled up a chair and began reading from Charlotte's Web, his voice steady and warm, bringing the farm to life in that sterile room. As weeks turned into months, Henry's visits became the highlight of Emily's days. He brought small gifts, a new coloring book, a stuffed teddy bear wearing a tiny volunteer vest, and even a model airplane kit they assembled together on good days. Between chapters, Emily shared her dreams of becoming an astronaut, while Henry told her stories of real American heroes who overcame impossible odds. "You're already a hero, kiddo," he'd say softly, his hand gently resting on hers. But hospital life is never simple. Emily's condition took a turn for the worse after an infection set in. Doctors spoke in hushed tones about experimental treatments and the possibility of transferring her to a larger children's hospital in Cleveland. Sarah looked utterly broken, juggling hospital bills and fear of losing her only child. Henry found himself staying longer than his scheduled hours, bringing homemade chicken soup and sitting with Sarah in the waiting room during late nights. "I lost my Margaret," he confided one rainy evening. "The pain doesn't go away, but helping others, it lights a candle in the dark." Word of Henry's dedication spread through the hospital. Nurses began calling him Uncle Henry, and even the gruff head of oncology, Dr. Ramirez, stopped to thank him personally. "You're doing more than volunteering, Henry. You're reminding these families they're not alone," the doctor said. Henry felt a warmth he hadn't known since teaching his favorite students years ago. Yet doubt lingered. Could one old man truly make a lasting difference? As winter blanketed Ohio in snow, Emily's fight grew tougher. One particularly difficult night, her fever spiked dangerously high. Henry arrived unannounced after hearing from Sarah and stayed through the early morning hours, holding Emily's hand and telling her stories of stars and space adventures. "When you get better, we'll look at the real stars together," he promised, his voice cracking with emotion. The monitors beeped steadily as Emily finally drifted into a peaceful sleep. Spring brought tentative hope. Emily responded well to a new treatment protocol, and her smiles returned brighter than ever. Henry organized a small astronaut day on the pediatric floor, complete with paper spaceships and glowing star stickers. Children and parents gathered in the playroom, laughter echoing where tears had once dominated. Sarah hugged Henry tightly. "You saved us in ways medicine couldn't," she whispered. Henry's volunteering didn't stop with Emily. He connected with a lonely elderly veteran who had no family, a young mother recovering from a car accident, and countless others who needed a listening ear. Each story he heard and each hand he held wove into the fabric of his own healing. The empty house on Maple Street slowly filled with new photos, pictures of him with hospital friends, drawings from kids, and thank you cards that covered his refrigerator. 1 year after he started, Mercy General held a volunteer appreciation event. Henry stood on stage, humble as ever, as the hospital director read a special commendation. Emily, now in remission and wearing a bright astronaut t-shirt, ran up to hug him. The audience, filled with staff, patients, and families, clapped with tears in their eyes. Henry looked out and realized that in trying to fill the void left by Margaret, he had discovered a new family. One bound not by blood, but by compassion and shared humanity. But life has more chapters. As summer approached again, Henry faced his own health scare. A routine checkup revealed early-stage issues that required surgery. The roles reversed as Emily and Sarah visited him, bringing flowers and reading his favorite books back to him. "Now it's my turn to be the story man," Emily said with a grin. Henry chuckled through the pain, grateful for the circle of kindness. Recovery strengthened Henry's resolve. He returned to volunteering with renewed energy, mentoring new volunteers and advocating for more support for families in need. His story inspired a local news segment, bringing attention and donations to Mercy General's volunteer program. Across the community, people began talking about the quiet power of showing up for others. Years later, on a beautiful fall day, much like the one when he first saw that newspaper ad, Henry walked the hospital gardens with Emily, now a healthy teenager, dreaming of college. "You taught me that heroes don't need capes, Mr. Henry. They just need to care," she said. Henry smiled, his eyes misty, knowing that the greatest legacy wasn't in history books he once taught, but in the lives touched one conversation, one story, one act of presence at a time. Henry often reflected on his early days of doubt. The first time he walked into the children's ward, the sight of tiny patients hooked up to IVs had nearly overwhelmed him. But Emily's innocent question about stories changed everything. He started collecting books from garage sales and library donations, creating a special Henry's Adventure shelf that traveled between rooms. Parents would thank him, not just for the books, but for the normalcy he brought into their chaotic worlds. One father whose son was recovering from a severe asthma attack told Henry, "You make this place feel less like a prison and more like a pit stop on the way to better days." Winter holidays at the hospital were always bittersweet. Henry volunteered extra shifts during Christmas, helping decorate rooms with twinkling lights that wouldn't interfere with medical equipment. He wore a silly Santa hat and passed out small gifts funded by his own modest pension. For Emily's family, he arranged a special visit from a therapy dog, watching the girl's face light up as she petted the golden retriever. Moments like these reminded everyone that joy could coexist with hardship in America's caring institutions. Through spring rains and summer heat waves, Henry's routine became a lifeline for many. He learned the importance of small talk, discussing Ohio State football scores with patients who missed home games, or sharing recipes for Midwest comfort food. His calm demeanor helped anxious families navigate the complex American healthcare system, offering directions to social workers or simply a shoulder to lean on during tough diagnoses. One memorable encounter involved a tough biker named Jax, admitted after a motorcycle accident. Initially gruff and resistant to help, Jax softened after Henry shared stories of his own father who served in World War II. By discharge day, Jax was shaking Henry's hand firmly, promising to pay forward the kindness by volunteering himself one day. As the story of Henry spread through the hospital and community, it touched hearts far beyond Mercy General. Local schools invited him to speak about service, and he encouraged young people to consider volunteering, emphasizing that America's strength lies in its citizens' willingness to help neighbors in need. Henry's personal growth was profound. The grief that once consumed him transformed into quiet gratitude. He planted a memorial garden for Margaret at home, filling it with flowers that reminded him of hospital windowsills. Evenings were no longer lonely. They were filled with journaling his experiences and planning new ways to brighten patients' days. The hospital eventually honored Henry with a permanent plaque in the volunteer lounge, but his real reward came in the form of transformed lives. Emily graduated high school and pursued nursing, citing Henry as her biggest inspiration. Sarah found stability and remarried, always crediting the volunteer who became like family. Through challenges like staffing shortages and funding struggles common in many U.S. hospitals, Henry remained steadfast. He advocated gently for better volunteer resources, writing letters to local representatives and sharing his story at community fundraisers. His story became a beacon for others, considering service in their golden years. Many retirees reached out, inspired to find their own hospital volunteer calling, proving that it's never too late to make a meaningful impact in the heartland of America. In the end, Henry Whitaker's journey from grieving widower to beloved hospital volunteer taught everyone around him the timeless truth. In giving of ourselves, we receive far more than we could ever imagine. The corridors of Mercy General carried not just the sounds of healing, but the quiet footsteps of compassion that echo through generations.